Good morning. I am Ramanda Noble Watson, the Director of Public Relations and Communications for the South Carolina High School League. It is my esteemed pleasure to welcome you to the 2022 Football State Finals Press Conference. Today's press conference is brought to you by the Carolina Panthers. We would like to thank the Carolina Panthers for their continued support of the state football finals. The Panthers organization has been a sponsor of these preview press conferences for a number of years and has allowed us to shine light on our student athletes and coaches who have accomplished so much and enabled them to make it to the state finals. With us this morning, we have coaches and players from Class 2A, 3A, and 4A. Before we get started with our football finalists, we will have some words from our commissioner, Dr. Jerome Singleton.
Thank you.
Of the South Carolina High School League. Dr. Singleton.
Thank you. And congratulations to such a fine group of coaches and athletes. Know that the South Carolina High School League is very proud of you and your team. I know a lot of hard work was done to accomplish this opportunity. Thank you for being the great ambassadors for the sport, for your school, for your community, and for the league. Just a few reminders. These contests will be televised and web streamed and may be viewed all over the world. In addition, they'll be recorded and be viewed later. Let's show the world an example of great sportsmanship by all in attendance, as athletes, as coaches, and as spectators. I know that you will give it your best effort. You will compete like champions and give gold medal efforts. We're so proud of you. Again, thank you. Enjoy the press conference and have a great game. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. And let's meet the teams who will be participating in our press conference today. And I will have each coach to present their players. We'll start with Class 3. Beaufort High School. Coach Librand, please introduce who you have with us today.
Yeah, I've got our running back number 2, Casey Fields, and our safety number 10, Colton Ferris.
Thank you. And they'll be competing against Powdersville High School. Coach Muster, Robert Muster, please introduce who you have with us today.
We've got number 16 quarterback Eli Hudgens and number 21 running back Thomas Wood.
And we're going to move on over to 4A, South Florence High School, and Coach Drew Marlowe.
I've got quarterback Lenore Sellers and outside linebacker Jalen Davis.
And their opponent for the state finals is Northwestern High School, Coach Paige Wofford.
Hello, I have wide receiver Elijah Caldwell and offensive lineman Jordan Knox.
And finally with us today, we have Abbeville High School, Coach Jamie Nichols. Please introduce to us your players.
Yes, I have Javario Tinch, our safety, and our other safety, Antonio Harrison.
And finally, we have Oceanside Collegiate Academy, coached by Chad Wilkes.
I have offensive lineman Monroe Freeman Wheeling to my right and running back Von Blue to my left.
Thank you so much, coaches, for introducing your players. And now we're going to get right into the press conference. And we'll start with 2A. Oceanside Collegiate Academy, since you was last to introduce, we'll let you go first. Coach, what would you say, and with coaches and players, we'll have you, all three of you, to answer this question for us. What would you say were your favorite moments of the season?
For me, I don't think there's any question winning the lower state championship for the first time in school history was a really big deal for us as a program. And for me personally, it's something that I tried to do 3 times and failed the first 3. So to finally get over that hump personally was a big deal. But for our program to do something that nobody in school history has ever done before is really important because we will always be the first. And that's a really big deal for us. It's something that we've worked extremely hard to do and put in a lot of time and effort. So to see the kids and the community and everybody get rewarded by doing something special like that was really neat to see for me personally.
Vaughn and Monroe, what would you say were you all's best moments or favorite moments of the season?
My personal favorite moment of the season is our playoff run so far. I've never really made it, at least in my career of Oceanside, that far into the playoffs. So I'm really happy that we were able to make it as far as we did.
Yeah, piggyback of Coach Wilkes, I think Lower State's been a really big thing for me. When I was a freshman, actually, we went to Lower State but lost. So it was really nice, go back to Lower State and actually pull it off. And now I'm in the state championship and ready to do what I couldn't do 3 years ago.
Thank you so much for answering those. And we're going to move to your opponent, Abbeville High School. So we're going to start with, they call him, his name is Antonio, but they call him Tubu. So Tubu, how were you able to come back this season after your injury, be effective and lead your team to state?
Just came back and grinded hard and just listen to the boys. The boys told me, when you come back, try to make this run. And I came back and we made this run. Now trying to come finish it.
And great. And Jay, what is your favorite position? It looks like you must play wide receiver and safety. So which one would you say is your favorite position?
My favorite position is safety,
Safety. Why would you say that?
because I like playing defense more, coming up and hit.
Oh, okay. It's a little different. A lot of people like to get the ball, but you like to try to get it another way. Okay. Well, thank you. We're going to come back to you guys in shortly, and we're going to move on over to 3A, where the Buford will face Powdersville High School, and we'll start with Powdersville. So this question goes to our student athletes. Both of you, if you wouldn't mind answering it. What are the things that your team has done to prepare for making a run at state championship?
Really the grind during the summer, spring ball, and the start of the season, coach preach to us, like, don't take nothing for granted, and that's something that me and my teammates have done, and that's what's leading us through the playoffs right now.
I think it's just a testament to our coaches. They come in every week and they have a good game plan for us, and we have a great team, and we're lucky that we can follow that great game plan and it leads to success.
So Coach, I'm gonna come to you next and ask you, what would winning a state championship mean for your team, your school, and the community?
Obviously it would mean a whole lot. We're a relatively young school still at this point. We're just going on our 12th year of being a school and our 11th year of having a varsity football program. But our kids have done something special regardless. Do we want to win the whole thing? Heck yeah, we do. But so proud of them and just the preparation these kids put in. And they have been prepared throughout this whole course. And we want to enjoy it one last week.
Oh, and thank you. And we'll come back to you as well. And we move to our final matchup with us today for a South Florence High School versus Northwestern High School. So we had a question from Mike Duprez with scorebooklive.com for Coach Marlowe. How has your team been able to sustain such a high level of excellence throughout the season?
They've been very focused this year. This is the most focused team that I've ever been around. Great focus, in practice, and that's carried over for us in the games and allowed us to execute at a high level.
And another question that he had is, what kind of advantage does it give you having such a quarterback like Lenore Sellers, who can be equally as dangerous throwing and running?
Gives us tremendous advantage because we simply have quarterback and two tailbacks in the backfield at the same time. Lenore's has done a great job this year doing what we need to win, whether it's running it or throwing it or both. And so he's been a joy to coach for sure.
And for the student athletes, being leaders on your team, what do you see is your role for helping your team prepare for the state finals game? So if I can have both of you answer one, just give me what you think your individual role would to bring the team together as leaders.
I'll just say like me being knowledgeable of everything, like knowing what teams do, knowing their tendencies and stuff, just watching film and stuff, and me being prepared for anything will help my other fellow teammates be prepared because they see me calm, knowing what to do. They'll be calm and they can just come to me, ask me any questions they have, and I can just be there for them.
Okay.
And for me, it's just, everybody on the same page, make sure they know what to do, with those guys, and breaking it down to the last bit and letting them know where they're going to do.
All right, well, thank you so much. And I do have a couple more questions, but I'll save those for later. I'm going to move on to Northwestern High School with Coach Wofford. This question also came in from Mike Duprez with scorebooklive.com. How do you defend Sellers, who is, as we mentioned earlier, both explosive and running and throwing?
That's a good question. Nobody's been able to do it yet. I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan, and I get to see Josh Allen on TV. Now I get to see him in person on Saturday. He's obviously the best player in the state. That's without question. Everybody knows that. He can run it, he can throw it. He can run like a deer, and he throws like Uncle Rico. Man, he's going to throw it over the mountain. So, we've got our work cut out for us. We're just happy to be here, and we're going to do our best to try to keep it from being a running clock in the second quarter.
Okay, and I'm gonna go to, excuse me, and I'm gonna go to the players on this one. From you both are seniors, and so from your freshman year to your senior year, talk about the evolution of the teams that you've played with your teammates over the last 4 years.
I'll say it's been a long road, but it's been fun. Just getting better every year. From our freshman year, the varsity team was 2-8. I didn't play on that team, but Jordan did. Was 2-8 to go to upper state the next year. It was just a very good jump, and you can tell Coach Wofford changed the program and got us back in the right direction.
For me, it's been a very fun journey. I came in starting as a freshman when Coach Wofford arrived over the summer, and we had little time that freshman year to get prepared. But over the course of those years, we've changed the culture. We've got back to winning football here, which is expected, and we're just glad to be at this point.
Well, thank you, and be prepared for a couple of more questions later. I'm gonna go back to Oceanside. I do have another question from Mike Duprez with scorebooklive.com. He said, you played a very tough non-conference schedule, beating 2 5A playoff teams and losing by a point to South Florence. How has that helped you prepare for this state championship game?
I think it's been huge for us. I think it's pretty obvious. Our non-conference was much more difficult than our conference, and a lot of teams that we played in the playoffs, playing Sumter High, Carolina Forest, South Florence, obviously have all gone on to have great seasons. We were able to win some of them, lost one of them, that I wish we could have won, but that kind of mindset of being able to go anywhere, play anybody, that's really big for our program. It's really big for our school and all sports. We're definitely firm believers that we can go and play with anybody if we play well. I think we've proven that, but that's the challenge, is doing that every single week. Especially when you get into non-conference and you're maybe not playing the 5A schools anymore, making sure that you keep that focus. That's kind of the difficult part of it. But for us, we know we've played a lot of really, really good teams, and we're battle tested. We know we can play with those teams. We just got to play well.
All right, well, thank you, and definitely good luck with that. We're going to go back, excuse me, to 3A and Buford. Question for our student athletes is, how much of an impact does the coaching staff have on you and your teammates week in and week out?
The coaching staff, the coaching staff have a big impact on us on the football field, because they make sure that we keep our head on straight, and not just only on the football field, but even in the classroom.
You have
The coaching staff does a great job. It's getting us ready every week with a good game plan and just making sure we also just do our stuff right, do the little things right, and the rest takes care of itself.
Okay, so here, one, excuse me, one final question from Mike Duprez with scorebooklive.com. So, excuse me, Northwestern is one of those teams that's equally as explosive, and this is also for Coach Marlowe, sorry. You'll be playing a Northwestern team. How do you combat the explosiveness that they also bring?
It was really, really difficult. They do a great job of making you defend the whole field, both laterally and horizontally. Do a great job of getting the ball out fast. The perimeter screens are really good. The receivers do a great job blocking on the perimeter. And if you overcommit to that, they can either, run the ball. Their tailback number 1 is a really great player, and then they can throw it over your head. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge to limit their explosive plays as much as possible.
Well, thank you. Now, we have been dealing in this press conference thus far with the nuts and bolts of on the field, what got you here and how it got you here. Now it's time for us to just find out about the student athletes and what it is and why is football so important to you and how football has become such an instrumental part of your lives. So for every student athlete, and I'll call your school when it's your turn to answer. This is a question for you to think about. How old were you when you began playing? It was a 2-part question, actually. How old were you when you began playing football? And if you had to choose another sport, what would it be? And so I'm going to go backwards, and I'm going to start with 4A, Northwestern High School. I'm going to start with you all. So how old were you when you started playing football? And if you had to choose another sport, what would it be and why?
I was 6 when I started, and the other sport, I don't know, basketball, I guess. For me, I was 6 when I started, and I feel like hockey would be one I would want to play if I wasn't a football player.
So why hockey? That's different. That's a little different.
I've never been to a hockey game, and I've always wanted to go, and it just looks real fun out there. I always ask people, like, is it cold in the ring and all that? So I'm hoping I can go to one soon, but it seems fun. I mean, it's kind of like football. You're aggressive and just getting after it.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. South Lawn, your turn. How old were you when you began playing? And if you had to choose another sport, what would it be?
I started playing football when I was 5. And if I had to play another sport, I would say soccer.
Soccer, okay.
I started playing football when I was 11, and if I had to play another sport, it would be wrestling.
Wrestling, why wrestling?
I'm pretty good in it right now, and I feel like, if football didn't work out, I can also wrestle.
Okay. Okay, 3A's, your turn. We're going to start with Powdersville. Same 2 questions.
I started playing football when I was 4. And another sport I would play other than football would probably be basketball.
Basketball, okay.
I started playing football when I was 8, and if I had to play another sport, I'd probably be a professional wrestler.
Do you wrestle?
No.
Okay. And you.
I started playing football when I was 4, and my other sport I would want to play would be track and field.
Why track and field?
Because as of right now, I hold the school record in the javelin, and I also throw the shot put.
Okay.
I started playing football when I was 6, and if I could choose another sport, it'd be wrestling.
Are you a part of the wrestling team?
Yes, ma'am.
And we have Oceanside Collegiate Academy.
I started playing football when I was 5 years old, and if I had to play another sport, I would run track and field.
Track and field, okay.
I think I started playing football when I was like 7, and I'd probably play basketball because I do play it, in the season, but not this year because I'll be enrolling early. But it's just, a fun time being a football player, playing basketball.
Well, thank you all for sharing that, giving a little insight of to your fans of who you really are and what kind of things you may be doing if you were not playing football. And so our final question goes to the coaches. In preparing for the season, most teams set goals. One, of course, which is to make it to the state title game. When did your team do this? And at what point in the season did you realize that you had the potential to be here? And we'll stay with Oceanside.
Yeah, I mean, I think I knew like the first day of practice and seeing that we had some pretty good football players, and that helps you get to this point. So that's an easy one.
Okay, so before I do that, I'm gonna have to backtrack because I forgot to ask Abbeville. You don't get away with it. When did you first start playing football, and what would be your other sport?
I first started playing football when I was 6. The other sport would be basketball.
Why basketball?
It's just the other sport that I've been playing besides football.
Okay.
I started playing football when I was 7, and another sport I was basketball too.
So you play basketball as well?
Yeah, man.
All right. So Coach, I'll have you to answer the question. Same question, in preparing for the season, with your goals, when did you realize your team had the potential to make the states?
Yeah, well, we really had to persevere through the early part of the season. We were 2-2. But I did learn through losing some games that our kids would not quit. And they worked really, really hard. And, they really set their mind out on what they wanted to do. And then, you go to our playoff run. We faced some more adversity Friday night. We were getting beat 16-6 at halftime. And then we came back and scored 35 unanswered points. So I'm just proud of our kids.
Wonderful. Well, good luck to you all. And we'll go to Beaufort High School. Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably set the goal for being back in a state championship when we walked off the field last year after losing a state championship. So that was kind of something we knew that was the next step for us. So that was what we wanted to do. As far as when we knew we had a chance to get here is probably, we lost week 1 to Fort Dorchester, but kids played really hard all the way through and just fought like crazy and end up losing 21-6 to a 5A state champion, team. And so that's a big deal. So we knew at that point, we'd have a chance if we played the way we were capable. We got better every week, we'd be okay. So that was probably the moment that as a coach, I knew we were going to have a shot.
Thank you, Coach. Powdersville.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't talk a whole lot about championships and that kind of stuff, but we prepared to be playing for 15 weeks. And our take on it is, and I didn't come up with this, we kind of borrowed this from some colleges, but just to be 1-0 after every day, whether it's a practice, whether it's a game, if you start adding those things up at the end of the season, then you've had a great season. And that's where we are right now. We didn't win against Hillcrest, which at the time was a top 5 ranked 5A school that we played, lost by 2, played, far from perfect ball. Had a chance to win it, and looking back on that game, probably one of the better things that happened to us was we didn't win it because it taught us a lesson that we couldn't play a ball game like that and win. And, ever since then, I think our kids regrouped, and that was a good shot in the arm, and here we are.
All right. We're going to move on to Northwestern.
Our goals and our standards were set long before I became the head coach at Northwestern, and before these players were here. This will be our 12th state championship game for Northwestern High School. Our seasons are at Northwestern. We don't talk about winning games. Our goal is to win seasons, and that's how these guys will be remembered, by their season, not by just 1 or 2 games. So we're looking forward to this game. We're excited to be there, but our goals are set for us before we step foot on campus, and we know that. We don't run from that, and that's kind of where we are at Northwestern High School, and we're proud to be here.
Thank you. And finally, South Florence.
Before our season started, we had a team meeting and developed goals, and playing for winning a state championship was not one of our goals, though. was to win the next game. Every single week was to win the next game, regardless of what happened the week before. Now, when did I know that we would have a chance to get here? It was probably 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I knew that we would be talented enough to get to this point. I knew that we had to grow some of the intangible things in our program, character, playing together as a team, learning to be selfless and care more about winning as a team than, individual statistics and those sorts of things. I knew that if we could grow all those things, that we would be talented enough to be here. And these guys did a great job, really for the last 2 years of working towards getting to this moment.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, all of you. That ends our question and answer portion of the press conference. Now, let's run down how you can see these 3 classes in action. All games will be played at Benedict College's Charlie W. Johnson Stadium. Class 3A, Powderville versus Buford, will open the finals play this Thursday, December 1st at 7 p.m. Class 2A, Abbeville versus Oceanside, will open play on Friday, December 2nd at 2 p.m. And Class 4A, Northwestern versus South Florence, will close out the finals on Saturday, December 3rd at 7 p.m. Thank you to all the teams for your participation in today's press conference, and we definitely wish you well in the finals. The presenting sponsor of the 2022 South Carolina High School League Football Finals is Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. We cannot thank them enough for their financial support of the South Carolina High School League and high school sports. And for all tickets for the finals are digital and can be purchased via the links provided by the participating schools or at GoFan, www.gofan.co. Once again, thank you all for attending and viewing. This concludes the press conference, and good luck to you all this weekend.